Hey, 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 family and friends. It is Tuesday. It's 11:30, and it is what we do on Tuesdays. You already know. We go live with the word of the Lord. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I was out last Tuesday, but I missed you guys so very much, and I promise you we have a word for today. I promise you we have a word for today. I'm getting ready to give you the title. If you didn't see it in the subject line, Facebook got this new setup, so I'm trying to get adjusted to my new setup, y'all. But in the subject line, the title of the message for today is Don't Quit, Get Your Head in the Game. Don't quit, get your head in the game. And I want to just go ahead and hit this message. But before I do it, I want to tell you what book we're in. Today we're in the book of Joel. We're in the book of Joel. And I want to dedicate this particular message. And I'm going through this. I'm trying to get all of this stuff set up because they got a whole new version set up in Facebook. I think we're good, y'all. I think we're good. As I'm going through this message today, I want to dedicate this message to individuals that are thinking about quitting. I want to dedicate this message to individuals that got some thoughts going on in your mind and you're just ready to give up. I want to dedicate this message to some people that had some folks that you were connected to and they let you down. I want to dedicate this message to individuals that are going through hell on your job. I want to dedicate this message to individuals that are on their sick bed or they got a diagnosis. Today, my message for you, baby, is don't quit, get your head in the game. Let me tell you where we're coming from. We're in the book of Joel, and Joel is a short book. It just has 3 chapters, honey, just 3 chapters. But in this particular book, can I tell you, it's so much in here. It's so much. It starts off Joel chapter 1, Joel. You know, my Montana coming out. Joel, not Job. Joel, in chapter number 1, it says, the word of the Lord came to Joel, and Joel had to speak what he saw and what he heard in the spirit to the people. And as he was looking around, it says that Joel observed that the land was in waste. It says that Joel was speaking this word, and the word he says to the people, he says, what the chewing locust left, the swarming locust has eaten. It says what the swarming locust left, the crawling locust has eaten. And what the crawling locust has left, the consuming locust has eaten. Now let me explain to you what's going on. That Joel is making this observation. The land is in a place of everybody is suffering. Y'all, the people are suffering. There is mass devastation going on all around them. And he begins to describe all of these locusts. Let me explain to you what the locusts mean. The chewing locusts. The chewing locusts are those type of insects that just chew. They chew, but they don't consume. They chew. It's like giving a child a dinner plate and they waste their food. The chewing locusts don't eat it. They just chew and gnaw at it and break down. And when I think about the chewing locusts, I think about the things that sometimes wrestle in our brains, the thoughts that sometimes we have, how sometimes our focus is distracted. We let things go around and just kind of go in this cycle in our head and in our mind, and it gets us off track. It gets us off focus. The chewing locust represents the thing that consumes your time. It consumes your energy. It consumes your very well-being, and all you can do is think about this thing. You go to bed thinking about it. You wake up thinking about it. Throughout the day, you're thinking about it. It represents the chewing locust. Then you have the second type of locust, and that's the swarming locust. The swarming locust, y'all, that's the one that's the one that it actually is good for consumption. In some countries, y'all don't be judgmental, in some countries, locusts are considered grasshoppers. And those grasshoppers are consumable. The people actually eat them. But the problem came about that they were spraying insecticides on this, pesticides on these insects, and it was no longer good for consumption. So when I thought about the swarming locust, it reminded me of individuals sometimes that find their way in a circle. They find themselves in a group. They find themselves trusting people that were good for them, but then over time they realized that that person didn't mean you any good. That person wasn't out for your well-being. The swarming locusts represent the things that were good, but now it has no value. And then it said the chewing locust, then the swarming locust, then it said the crawling locust. Whatever those didn't get rid of, the crawling locust is coming next. Now the crawling locust, I'm going somewhere with this, is the one that bugs you. The crawling locust is the one that just sits there. It is the one you're trying to shoo away away. You know how you at the barbecue and the fly keep coming around. It's that type of locust. It's that locust that just gets there and it has been assigned to you. I actually did research on all of these locusts, and it's been assigned to just stay there and bother you and to disturb your peace and to make sure that you don't have any type of contentment. It's that swarming locust. And then the next one is called the consuming locust. The consuming locust is the catch-all. The consuming locust is the one that gets you and makes you sick. It's the consuming locust that gets you on your deathbed. It's the consuming locust that tears up your finances. It's the consuming locust that if this one didn't get you and that one didn't get you and the other one over there didn't get you, this particular one is going to get you. So what is going on? I know you're saying, Tab, you're talking about all of these bugs. What's going on in this message? In this message, it starts out and Joel is telling the people, look, I want to make you aware that it's these things that's coming up against you. These things are going to make you want to quit. And here, if I step into where some of us would be today, some of us have been in a position where our thoughts consume us and we start thinking about all of the stuff that's going on, all of the time that we may have thought that we wasted, and it gets to a place where we want to quit. If I thought about this a little bit further, it reminds me of people that have found themselves in those circles, and those individuals let you down, and you found out that the people that were saying they were for you weren't really for you, and people get to this place where they just want to quit. Some folks have quit and they're like, I don't do church no more. Some people have quit and they're like, I don't do organizations no more. I don't do women no more. I don't do girlfriends and guys. And I just like to be on that lonely mountain and island by myself. Those are the people that have said, you know what, this was supposed to be something good, but you let me down, so I'm out. It made me think about individuals that are dealing with things on their job. You ever had that job where everything is going well, but then you got this one or two people, and it seems like they've been assigned to bother you. They've been assigned to get at you. They've been assigned to keep picking and poking and prodding at you. Hey there, Broderick, have you ever been in that position where on your job it seems like someone has been assigned to just make things difficult for you? The story of Joel reminds me of that. And then you have this other type of situation where some people are really dealing with a diagnosis on their job. They're dealing with something that they just got, and they're like, wait a minute, what do you mean that my job is getting ready to be eliminated? Or what do you mean that there's no money for this and I'm not going to get approved for this loan? What do you mean that, wait a minute, I just got this report from the doctor? What do you mean I just got this letter from the courthouse? Some people are dealing with the catch-all where it seems like, Broderick, everything is coming at them every which way. And I want you to understand, when I put in the subject line, don't quit, get your head in the game, I'm coming not from the spirit of Tab, but I'm coming from the spirit of God as he was speaking to Joel in this book. You see, Joel was coming, and he was coming as a prophet, and God was telling Joel, tell the people, I see what's going on. I see how the land is suffering. I see how you're going through trials and tribulations. I see your pain. I see the issues you're dealing with. I know your thoughts. I know what you're thinking about. I know what you're feeling in your spirit. Joel, Joel, was sent on assignment to let the people know that God was observing what was going on and how people were coming up against them, and his word of encouragement was, don't quit, get your head in the game. You see, not only was the locust attacking the people, but then it said that drought was going on. Drought is something where it's a long period of time. Sometimes we go through things and it's not that it just happened for a moment or it happened for a season. Some of us have been going through stuff and you feel like you've been fighting all your life. You feel like you've been dealing with stuff all of your life, that you're always having to deal with this person and deal with that person. And God was saying, Joel, tell the people, I see what's going on, and I know that there's a drought. I know that this has been a long-term battle, but I need them to get their head in the game. It says, if I go a little bit further, in Joel chapter 1, verse number 6, God told him, he said, tell the people that I understand that the nation has come up against my land. What God was letting the people know is, I see what's going on, but I need you to remember that you've got a covering. I need you to know that I've got your back, and I see that this enemy has decided to come up against my people. When I kept reading, it says that God began to tell Joel, encourage the people. Tell them to get their head in the game. He said, tell them to gird themselves. It said, says in chapter number 1, verse 13, he says, tell them not only to gird yourselves, he said, but all of y'all preacher folks, all of the ministers out there, the pastors, the apostles, the prophets, the elders, he said, tell all of them, all of you that go before the altar, I need you to get your wail and cry on. I need you to get your lamentation cry on. He said, tell the people to gather and consecrate a fast. Tell them to get together in a sacred assembly. Gather all of the people and cry out loud to the Lord. What God was saying, that I know that you know that I'm here with you, but I need your participation. I don't need you to give up. I don't need you to stop. I don't want you to think that you don't have a part that you play in this matter. So for those of you that are dealing with something right now and you're thinking that you need to quit, you're thinking that you can't do anything about it, this morning I want to come and encourage you that God needs your participation in this fight. I need you to get your head, baby, in the game. If we keep on going, it says that we got down to chapter number 2 of the book of Joel. I told you it's just 3 chapters, so y'all gonna have to keep up and keep on coming with me this morning. It says that they got into chapter number 2. In chapter number 2, it says that the day of the Lord, it says that Joel told the people, he says, blow the trumpet in Zion. And what's going on here? You see, when you blow the trumpet in Zion, that was a sound. It was a sound that was loud, and it told the people to gather around. See, what God did was he first let the people know, I see your current situation. Somebody is listening to me right now, or you're going to listen to this message later, and you don't think that God sees you. Baby, I want you to know that he sits high, but he looks low. He sees what's coming up against you. He sees the people that are disturbing your peace. He sees the people that started out and they were for your good, and now they're gossiping and backbiting and plotting against your demise. He sees the people that are on your job coming up against you, baby. He sees the things that's going on in your life. He saw the doctor's report. He saw what the courthouse said. He saw what the attorney sent over. He saw that bill that came in the mail. He said, I see your current situation, but what I need you to do is blow the trumpet, because I want you to know what's getting ready to come. I want you to know that you're not going to stay in this position. We're going somewhere, and I'm bringing you up out of this. What he began to do was he described the situation, because oftentimes we can tell people, I get it and I understand, but he said, no, God broke it down. He said, let me tell you how much I see how this thing is coming up against you. It's coming up against you, and it feels like an army. It feels, when I read in chapter number 2, it says it's coming, and it says the appearance of all of these locusts, all of these things that are fighting up against you, all of these things that are attacking your mind and your thoughts, all of these people that are plotting against you, all of the situations and the mess and foolishness that you're dealing with on your job, all of the illness and the sickness and the disease that you're fighting in your body. He says, I know it's coming up against you, and it's coming like an army. It says those appearance, it looks like the appearance of horses. It says that they leap over the mountaintops. It says they run like mighty men. They climb the wall like men of war. Everyone marches in formation, and no one breaks rank. It says they don't push one another. Everyone marches in their own formation. What he was saying is that this thing that's coming up against you, let me tell you how much I understand. It's organized. It's not something random. It's not something that just happened by accident. It's an organized attack. It's something that somebody was sitting back and they were watching you, and they decided to make some things happen so that you would be in a place where you didn't feel like you could continue fighting. Let me explain to you what it means when I say get your head in the game. You say that organized attack is the attack that comes in your thoughts. That organized attack, it has a strategy. It just doesn't pop up every now and then. It's a strategy that pops up when you go certain places. It's a strategy that pops up when you see certain things. It's a trigger point. It knows what your buttons are. It knows how to get you riled up. It knows how to get you frustrated. It knows how to get you where you're mad and fussing and cussing. This thing is strategic, that has been assigned to try to get you out of your game. But baby, I need you to understand that the Lord sees what's coming up against you. For some of you, you're dealing with individuals, and you connected some businesses together. Some of you went into some relationships with people together. Some of you is unfortunately folks that you related to that's got the same blood flowing through their veins that you got flowing through yours. And here's what's going on. Hey, baby, Sister Tricia, it was an organized attack. See, you thought that just because you said that we were friends, and just because you said that we were cool, that person had the same agenda. But what you found out as you kept going along, that the person was jealous of you. The person was envious of you. The person was talking about you. The person was lying on you. You found found out that somebody that you trusted, somebody that you brought into your inner circle, into your heart space, into your mind space, that they were not really there for your good. And God just sent me this morning through the book of Joel to let you know I see that it was an organized, strategic attack. Some of you are dealing with situations, like I said, on your job, and you're doing what you're supposed to do, but they still keep coming at you from the left and from the right. You're doing your work. You're doing what you were hired to do, but it seems like you still can't get to that promotion, Angela. It seems like you still can't deal with the situation because somebody is always scheming and plotting the water cooler conversations. You don't know who to trust on your job. You don't know who's for you, and you don't know who's against you. The people that you should be able to go to, that you should be able to trust, hey, there's Satara, they don't have your best interest at heart. And God said, I need you to understand it was a strategic setup. It was organized, and I saw what was coming up against you. Some of you are dealing with sicknesses and illnesses and diseases, and you thought that it was just something that came randomly. Can I tell you that sickness does not come from God? No, the devil was looking, and he was watching, and he was like, where can I deposit this cancer? Where can I deposit diabetes? Where can I deposit this issue in their body? Where can I deposit this sickness and this disease? It was a strategic assignment set up by the enemy to try to get you off your game and to make you get your head out of the game. But this morning, God is telling me to let you know, as we look at the book of Joel, I see what you're doing against my people, and this means war. You see, if we keep on going, it says that the Lord says in chapter number 2, verse number 17, as he looks at his children, as he looks at the ones that are suffering, as he looks at the children that are going through, he asks this question. He says, why should people say among themselves, where is my God? Why should the people be in a position where they're dealing with stuff and they're wondering, where are you, God? Why should the people be in a position where they're like, God, do you see what I'm dealing with? God, do you see this situation at work? God, do you see this situation at church? God, do you see this situation with this person that was supposed to be my ride or die, but now they're backstabbing me? God, do you see this situation that's going on in my body? God, do you see the thoughts? You said that you see my thoughts from afar off. Do you see what I'm wrestling with, the low self-esteem? Do you see what I'm wrestling with when I don't know if somebody loves me? Do you see what I'm wrestling with, the thoughts of being single? Do you see the things that are wrestling in my brain of how am I going to pay this bill and how am I going to make ends meet? It says that God told the people, why should they be in a position where they have to even wonder, where is my God? He said, no, I need you to understand that I got you. It goes on in verse number 21 of chapter 2. It says, tell the people that you will not be in a position where you have to fear. It says, fear not, be glad and rejoice, for the Lord has done marvelous things. The former rain and the latter rain are coming. What's going on here? He's letting the people know that I see what you're dealing with. I saw your current situation, but I need you to understand that I'm getting ready to reverse this thing. He was telling the people, I see what you're dealing with. I know that it was an organized, strategic attack. I know that this thing came and it blindsided you. I know that you gave some forgiveness. You gave some passes. You tried to give people an opportunity to get it right. But it seems that over and over again, you found yourself in this cycle. I know you did what the doctor told you to do, and you're still dealing with the pain in your body. I know you did what they told you to do, and you're still looking at it. It seems like financially you can't get ahead. But what God is saying is, I see what's going on, but I need you to trust me. I need you to get in this place where you don't quit. Get your head in the game. It says, if we look in chapter number 2, that he says, I'm getting ready to take care of this. I'm coming up against everything that said that it was going to come up against you. And it says that he responds, it says, I'm going to restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten, the crawling locust, the consuming locust, and the chewing locust. Now, if you remember when we started off, for those of you that may have just got on, when he described the things that were attacking the people, he went in a certain order. He started off and he said the chewing locust. the things that are chewing away at your thoughts and your time, and you feel like it's just a waste. He then went to the swarming locusts. He said, these are the things that was good for you, but now that it's no longer good because it's setting itself up against you. Then he went to the crawling locust. The crawling locust has been assigned to bother you. It ain't going no more. It's not going to fly away. It's positioned right in your space. And then he went to the consuming locust, because if those three don't get it, this last one is going to catch it all. And as he begins to say the restoration, what interests me is that he reversed the order. You see, he didn't start off with the chewing locust, the things that deals with our thoughts. He started off and he said, I'm going to restore to you, it starts off, he says, the swarming locust. And as I began to look at this, I said, God, speak to me in the spirit and explain to me what's going on. You see, what was going on? He says, I need you to understand that you got to get your head in the game. Everything that was swarming, let's start there. Let's not go to the chewing, but let's go to the swarming locust. Let's go to the things that have been dealing with you and the things that have been bothering you. Let's look at that circle. You see, the swarming locust represents the things that you thought were good and you realized were not. Let's look at what God is saying I'm going to do there first. First, I'm going to restore everything back to you that you thought took away your good years. I want you to hear me in the spirit. And y'all know I don't play with that prophetic, but I'm just speaking this word as God has given it to me through Joel, and he gave it to me as an assignment to give to you today. Everything that you thought has been consuming that was set up for good, and it seemed like it flipped on you. God is saying to you today that he is going to flip that thing back around, and it is going to work together for your good. All the good years that you thought you invested in that relationship, all the good years that you thought you gave on that job, all the good years that you thought you gave at that organization, all the good years that you invested, and then that thing flipped on you. I need you to understand that it's going to work together for your good. God is going to restore it. And he didn't stop there. He said, now let's deal with this crawling locust. The crawling locust was the locust that just sits there. The thing that just sits there. There's some of you, you're on a job and you don't have an interest to go look for another job. And it seems like this assigned pest is just sitting in your place of employment. It's just sitting where you work. It's just sitting where you just go to get an honest living, and it seems like it's been assigned to annoy you, assigned to make you quit, assigned to make you not see it through, assigned to think that this is a dead end, assigned to make you feel like you just got to give up. This morning, I want to encourage you, don't give up. Keep your head in the game. Some of you are in a situation where you are really looking at your medical situation. You're looking at what this doctor's report says. Some of you are going through treatment right now. You're going through the chemo. You're going through the radiation. You've had the multiple surgeries. You've done everything that you're supposed to do, and you feel like giving up and you feel like quitting. But I want to tell you this morning, God sees you. Don't you dare quit. Get your head in the game and understand that God is going to restore your failing health. Baby, you're going to be all right. And I know you're saying, Tab, how do you know that? By faith, I know that you're going to be all right. You got to participate in this fight. You got to participate and say, I'm going to get up off of this deathbed. You got to participate and say, I'm going to fight this cancer. I'm going to fight this diabetes. I'm going to fight this surgery. I'm going to get my muscles strengthened back. You got to participate, but I need you to know that you're not in it by yourself. God has got you. I see you, Angela. He is going to restore it back. And what interests me is it went from understanding the people in your circle. It went from understanding the people that are assigned to bother you. And then it went from him saying, I'm going to restore everything that's coming to attack you. Some of you are dealing with health issues. Some of you are dealing with financial issues. Some of you are dealing with issues where you don't know how you're going to make ends meet. Some of you are dealing with issues and you're not that person that's out there wasting money. What gets me is people always assume that folks that are dealing with financial debt are the ones that's always out there blowing money. No, some of you are doing what you're supposed to do. You're managing your coins. You're saving as best you can. You're trying to pay every bill on time, but it seems like you're just running out of money. Can I tell you, don't you quit? Don't you stop. Get your head in the game. Stay focused. God is going to restore your financial situation. Just keep pushing. Keep going. Don't stop doing what you're doing. Connect with individuals that can help you, but don't you dare think that this is how this story is going to end. Some of you are in a situation where it's a catch-all. It's seems like things are just coming from the left and the right, and you just don't know if you can fight it anymore. Baby, keep fighting. Keep your head in the game. Some of you are dealing with situations where it's not other people bothering you. It's not something that has been assigned to bother you on your job. It's not a health situation. It's not a financial concern. It's not any of the things that I mentioned. It's something right here. And I think this is why he ended with, I'm also going to restore your thoughts. I'm going to restore the thoughts that you have in your mind. I'm going to restore the things that you can't go to sleep at night because you keep thinking about it. You're stressing about it. You're worried about it. You're distracted because of it. You can't stay focused because of it. God is saying, if you just connect with me and if you'll just regroup, I promise you, I'll help restore your thoughts. Because some of us, that battle is right here. It's not other people. Other people don't even get some of y'all. You don't even let them get close enough to disturb your peace. But it's something that's going on right here. And it doesn't mean you're crazy. It doesn't mean that you need to go check inside a psychiatric ward. What it means is that you got to be attentive to what you're thinking. What is it that you think about your situation? What are you thinking about yourself? What are you thinking about your esteem? Do you understand how valuable you are? Do you understand how much God loves you? Do you understand that this book right here is an example when God says, I'll fight for you, that he will actually fight for you? Do you know how much he cares about you? I want you to really look at Joel. Joel is a book that says, look, I see your current situation. But I need you to understand. Hey there, Erica, I see it. Amen. I need you to understand, says God, that that's your current situation. But do you know who I am? The question was asked in Joel chapter 1, verse number 17. He's like, why will my children be wondering, where is my God? He's like, you won't have that, not on my watch, where you're in a position where you don't know that I got you. Oh, it goes on, y'all. It says that God begins to tell the people, not only am I going to restore to you everything that came up against you, it says you shall eat in plenty and be satisfied. You'll praise the name of the Lord and you'll understand that you'll never be put to shame. That's chapter number 2 of Joel, verse 26. He said, because you trust in me, because your faith is in me, you shall know that I am in the midst of it all. That's what the word says. I am the Lord your God, and there is no other. My people shall never be put to shame. That's what his word says. That's what it says in Joel. And as I began to read this, I got really excited, y'all, because then Joel is a book that keeps talking about the day of the Lord. The day of the Lord. And I said, God, when you mention the day of the Lord, are you talking about the day when we see you in heaven? And it says, no, you got to keep reading. You see, the day of the Lord was the day of judgment. The day of the Lord was the day when God said everything that set itself up against you, every situation and matter that decided that it was going to bother one of my children, the day of the Lord is the day of judgment. The day of the Lord is the day when I fight for you. The day of the Lord is when I flip things and work it out for your good. The day of the Lord is when I restore your failing health. The day of the Lord is when I give you that job that you've been interviewing for and you get that promotion. The day of the Lord is when that check comes in the mail. The day of the Lord is when you gird up yourself and you say, you know what, God, I think we can fight this battle. The day of the Lord is when your mindset begins to shift and you say, wait a minute, the enemy doesn't get to have control over my thoughts anymore. The enemy doesn't get to make me lose another night's sleep over this mess right here anymore. No, the enemy does not get to make me look in the mirror and think that I'm not all of that in a bag of chips because God said that I am. The enemy does not get to get in my mind and tell me that I'm not who God said I am. The day of the Lord is the day when the battle takes place. The day of the Lord is when you strengthen yourself and you square your shoulders. The day of the Lord is when you get that pep in your step. The day of the Lord is when you say, you know what, God is fighting my battles and it's already won. The day of the Lord is when you decide, you got it, Miss Angela, that I'm going to trust in him with my whole heart. The day of the Lord is when you say, I wish a devil would come up against me. The day of the Lord is when you say, come on, battle, let's fight this thing because I'm not fighting by myself. The day of the Lord is the day of judgment. It's the day of fighting. And what I love, when I got so excited, God began to speak to the things that were bothering us. God began to speak to the thoughts that were keeping us up at night. God began to speak to the people that set themselves in position and they knew that they didn't mean you any good. God began to speak to the individuals that were on the jobs and that was creating hell for you. God began to speak to sickness and illness and even death that tried to take your life. God speaks to it, and he says in chapter number 3, verse 4, he asked the question, he said, now, are you going to retaliate against me? Are you going to be the one that says that you're going to fight against me? God asked that question. He said, if you want to retaliate against me, swiftly and speedily I will come. Q, he began to tell the people, he said, look, understand this. Not only do I need you to know that this is your current situation. Yes, this is what you're dealing with right now. Yes, I see it, says God. I see your finances. I see your situation. I see what's going on in your body. I know what's going on in your mind. I feel what's going on in your heart. But God begins to speak and says, this is a current situation, but this is not your future. I need you to understand that because you belong to me. This is all in the book of Joel. I'm not speaking out of turn. I'm speaking what thus says the Lord. He says, tell the people, because you belong to me, I'm getting ready to fight this battle. I'm getting ready to deal with it. I'm getting ready to be the one that's going to retaliate. I'm getting ready to make sure that this score is settled. See, the people, if it's people that have come up against you, what I love about Joel is he gives them an opportunity to repent. He gives them an opportunity to go make it right. Some people are going to be coming to you saying, sis, I apologize. Brother, I'm my bad. Some people are going to be coming and saying, you know what? I know you put your name in the hat for that position and we didn't interview you, but Daphne, we're going to have to just go ahead and call you on in for an interview. Some people are going to be in a position where they're going to call you and they're going to say, I did not do right by you. I did not do what I was supposed to do concerning you. And God pricked my heart and I had to apologize. Would you please accept my apology? God is giving them an opportunity to repent, an opportunity to get it right. But for those that choose not to, for those that choose that you still want to go up against the children of God, for those that choose that you still want to make it hellacious, for those that choose that you still want to gossip and keep your name in their mouth, for those that choose that you still want to make things difficult for them at work, for those that choose that you still want to be the one that's being used by the devil to be a tool and create havoc and disarray in folks' lives, for those of you that choose that you want to continue to do all of these things against my children, says God, I got the retaliation. I'm the one that you're going to have to fight. And what I love, and I sometimes I get a little bit nervous because I'm like, God, I know that you're holy, but sometimes I forget that when you play, you play. But when you don't play, you don't play. And he begins to say that I'm not playing. He says, not only will I take care of it, but I'm going to take your children, and I'm going to take your children's children, and I'm going to give them over into slavery. I'm going to knock out everything that came up against you. And the reason he goes into the children, because he's letting you know that this generational attack that you had that was going through your bloodline, God's like, I got the whole thing covered. See, sometimes we go through things there and take it. I want you to be reminded of Joel. First, he says, sound the alarm. He said, make some noise. Some of y'all are too quiet. You've been sitting in silence and you've been suffering. You've been allowing the enemy to punk you. You've been allowing him to snatch your voice. You've been allowing him to punk you and tell you that and ask you the question, well, where is your God? And where is he right now? And look, do you see your financial situation? Did you see this letter that came from the attorney? Did you see this letter that came from the courthouse? Did you see what's going on with your children? Don't you know what's going on in your relationship? Don't you know you're going to be single all your life? No, you're going to be in an apartment, baby. You ain't never going to get a house. Don't you know that this is generational? He just been punking you. But God says, I need you to sound the alarm. I need you to blow the trumpet. I need you to make some noise. I need you to let him know that if God says I'm the head, then I am the head and I'm not the tail. If God says I'm above this mess, then I'm not stooping down here. I'm not beneath. If God says that I can overcome it, then baby, I'm overcoming it. See, some of you have been too silent because you forgot who's on your side. You forgot who's fighting this battle for you. It says, if I kept on reading It says, God, that not only is he doing a restoration, but he says that he began to bless the people. Hey, happy birthday, sis, I see you. It was a blessing that took place. God looked at what was going on in the land. He saw that the land and the people were suffering. He saw that the individuals were dealing with mass destruction. He saw the individuals that were dealing with the thoughts that were consuming their mind. He saw the individuals that were dealing with people that were in their circle that used them, abused them. He saw the people that were dealing with the hell on their job and all of the confusion and the commotion. He saw the things that were coming at them from the illnesses and the sicknesses and the diseases and the financial situations and the housing situations. He saw all of the attacks that were coming up against the people, and he said, not only am I going to restore it, I'm going to give them grace, and if they don't take this grace, I need you to understand that I'm wiping it out, and if they don't get that, I need you to still know that I got you. See, I don't want you to get so consumed and caught up in what the enemy is doing to you. I want you to stop giving so much marketing and conversation to I'm dealing with this and I'm dealing with that. I need you to flip that and say, God is dealing with this situation. God is dealing with my health. God is dealing with this cancer. God is dealing with this diabetes. God is dealing with this COVID. God is dealing with my finances. God is dealing with my job. God is dealing with my children. God is dealing with my relationships. God is dealing with the people in my circle. God is dealing with these thoughts that's in my head. See, I need you to get to a place where you stop fighting the battle by yourself and say, I'm dealing with, no, baby, you ain't dealing with nothing. God is dealing with this. He just needs to know, is your head in the game? He just needs to know, do you know who he is? Do you know that he's got your back? It says the people that understood this, physically they were restored. Oh, as I began to read, it wasn't just physically, but spiritually they were restored. Not just physically and spiritually, but it says the whole nation. When I began to read chapter 3, the last book of Joel, the whole nation was restored because the people got into a place where they got their head in the game. We keep looking at what's going on in the United States. We keep looking at all of the havoc that we deal with murders and killings and COVID and virus and elections and politicians and this person doing this and this is on the news and that's on the news. It's one person at a time. What do I mean? What I'm saying is one person at a time. If each one of us would say, you know what, let me get my head in the game. Let me remember who I serve. Let me remember that my God is bigger than this. He's bigger than the mess on my job. He's bigger than the mess that's coming up against me. He's bigger than this doctor's report. He's bigger than my financial circumstances. He's bigger than anything that decides to come up against me. God is bigger than that. And if I can just get my head in the game and focus on who he is, he's got it. He's totally got it. Are you willing to fight with him? And see, all your fighting looks like, he gave them instruction. The fighting looks like get in the presence of the Lord. For each person that's listening and you're ordained or you're licensed as a minister and an elder, it says wail. Get out there and cry for the people. See, we got to get past just wanting to preach a good message. Hey there, Sean, how you doing? We got to get out of just wanting to teach a good Bible study. When we see what's going on in this land, your ordination, your license, your collar, your clergy code, it's more than just for you to have a pulpit to give a good 30-minute message. Baby, on your downtime, you got to be crying out for the people that God assigned you to serve. You got to cry out when you see somebody dealing with foolishness. You got to cry out when you see a sister or a brother that's willing to quit. You got to cry out when you talk to somebody and they tell you they're suicidal because the thoughts that are going on in their head. You got to cry out when you see a brother or a sister that's on their last dime. You got to cry out for their finances. Cry out for their health. We can't just want to preach a good 20, 30-minute message, hook them, get our altar call and get our offering and then let the people go back to life. No, it's an assignment. And it says in Lamentations, well, you ministers, get on the altar. We got to get back on the altar and start crying out for the people that God has entrusted and blessed us to be over and to pray for and to intercede for and to stand in the gap for. If we want to see this nation healed, we got to get back on task. And it's not just the ministers and the elders and the leaders and the prophets and the apostles and the overseers and the teachers and the deacons. It's not just us. Those that are going through, you got to participate in your own rescue. It says get together, come together, fast if you need to fast. Push back the plate and say, God, this is my time. I'm laying out my finances before you. I'm laying out this doctor's report before you. I'm laying my children on the altar. I'm laying my health on I'm laying my job situation on the altar. Stop giving the devil so much marketing and start laying this stuff on the altar and say, God, I'm coming to you naked and unashamed. I know you see my situation. I know you know I belong to you. I am a child of God. And according to your word, I will not be put to shame. God, handle this situation. My head is in the game. Are you willing to fight and participate in your situation? You can't quit. That's what I'm trying to tell you this morning, baby. You can't quit. I need you to know it's your current. But better is coming. Better is coming. But I don't want you to miss it because you locked down in the assignment that the devil had to get you off track. I need you to know. And I'm sorry for yelling, y'all. I try not to be one of those yelling folks, but I feel it. I feel the fight that some of you are dealing with, and I don't want you to quit. I feel it in my soul. I don't want you to quit. I don't know what it looks like to deal with cancer, but somebody's watching this and you got cancer report from the Lord, not from the Lord, from the doctor, and the Lord is telling me, don't quit. You got to go through the chemo, the radiation, do what you got to do, but baby, don't you quit. Get that thing out of your head that says this is the end. Get it out your head. Don't you quit. Don't you quit. Some of you are dealing with some stuff and you're pushing and you put on this mask but at the end of the day inside you're cracking because you're like, God, this is really hard. And do you see me? He sees you. And he's not just observing like you're some movie. He's participating. And he's working it out for your good. Don't quit. Don't quit. And here's the other part. I need you to be aware of what's going on around you. You see, the book of Joel is a book that has two main themes. The first one is reminding people, pay attention. See, the reason the locusts were able to come in is because the people weren't paying attention. They weren't paying attention to what they were thinking about. I need you to pay attention to your thoughts. When that spirit of negativity, of complaining, of woe is me, of I'm tired, of I can't do this, of God doesn't love me, of I'm going to be by myself, of I'll never get the house, I'll never get the car, I'll never get the promotion. This sentence is a death sentence that came from the doctor. I'm not going to get out of this issue with my finances. When all of those things come in your thoughts, when all of those, I need you to understand the triggers. I need you to pay attention. That's a locust trying to come at you. I need you to pay attention when you see folks in your circle and they're not for you. Stop putting yourself in a position to get hurt over and over again. Yes, people make mistakes. And yes, sometimes we do things that we don't mean and we just got to say, forgive me. But for folks that keep doing it over and over again, pay attention. Stop allowing yourself to become other people's victims. Fight back. Stop allowing yourself to be other people's dumping ground. Pay attention to who's in your circle. That's a locust. Some of you are in situations and you see what's going on your job and you don't know how to navigate. You don't know whether to quit. You don't know whether to resign. You don't know whether to stay home. You don't know what to do. Just pay attention. Stay focused. Don't let nobody mess up your coins. Baby, if you're there to make your money, keep your head down, make your money, and leave. Check out, clock out. Don't get caught up in that mess that's going on your job. Don't get caught up on the office politics. Don't get caught up in the cooler conversations. Remember why you're there. And if the place no longer serves you, find another job, baby. Pay attention. You're nobody's victim. Nobody. Some of you are dealing with stuff and it's coming at your money, your health, your family. It's that consuming locust. It's trying to get everything that everything else didn't get. Pay attention. The Bible says, watch and pray. Some of us have been praying, but we haven't been paying attention. Pay attention to what's going on around you. And if it vexes your spirit, don't you dismiss that. Pay attention. That is Holy Spirit saying, something ain't right. Something going on. Don't you dismiss that. We're no longer going to keep being victims of what the devil does to us. Pay attention. The first theme of the book of Joel is pay attention. And the last theme, as I come to a closing, is you got to remember when God said in Joel, anything that comes up against my children, I'm going to retaliate. I'm going to take care of it. I got it. Baby, what you got to remember is God is a ferocious competitor. Ferocious. I found that word in my spirit. Ferocious. He doesn't play. Just like some of you are parents, or you got nieces and nephews, or you got an elderly mom or dad or a grandparent, somebody that you watching after, and you wish somebody mess with yours. And so you limited, because sometimes you're supposed to mess with us, or you're supposed to have us in jail somewhere. But when God says, wait a minute, you messed with mine? Don't underestimate. When he says, don't touch my children, that's what he means. Pay attention, and don't forget that your daddy, our God, is a ferocious competitor. And every battle that he fights, baby, he wins. He wins. So whatever has decided that it was bold enough, crazy enough, stupid enough, insane enough to come up against you as a child of God, don't let it make you quit. Get your head in the game and know and understand that God is getting ready to handle it. Don't quit. It would be a shame. Miss Daphne, Angela, Tara, Sean, y'all, it would be a shame. Q, it would just be a shame for God to be looking at your situation saying, I was just waiting for the right moment to physically restore, spiritually restore you back to a position that you were supposed to be in the first place. For him to fight a battle, and you gave it. For God to fight a battle, to flip this thing and work it out for your good, and you done walked away. There's a scripture in the Bible says that when they went to war, they didn't leave without the spoil. Some of you have lost too much to walk away empty-handed. I don't know who that's for. And y'all know I normally get on here and I just teach, and I just teach what God has given me. But I'm responding to you, Jesus. I want to speak that to you. Some of you, hey, Miss Shonda, have sacrificed too much. Some of you have been through too much. You've lost too much to walk away now empty-handed. God said if you'll just hold on just a little bit longer, if you'll just trust that he saw what came up against you, if you'll just hang in there and keep your head in the game, restoration is coming. Restoration is coming. Don't take it into your own hands. Keep paying attention. Keep praying. But no, restoration is coming. You're not going to walk away from this empty-handed. If you'll hang in there. Doctor's report. Financial situation. The children. the relationship, the job. Hang in there. Hang in there. If you leave now, if you abort the mission now, you will walk away empty-handed. And that's not the desire of the Lord. It's a trust thing. Do you trust that He's got you? The book of Job is a book that reminds us, don't quit. Get your head in the game. I pray that something in this message has woken up that warrior inside of you. And you're ready to say, God, fight it. My head's in the game. Handle your business. Handle your business. Y'all, I love you. Forgive me for yelling. I got a little rowdy today. I got a little rowdy today. I don't like seeing people quit. And I don't like people walking away from something that you, baby, you done came too far. You have come too far to give up now. So y'all have an amazing rest of the day. I see y'all messages in the chat. Y'all know I'm going to go back and read them. Have an amazing rest of the day. And somebody you're going to come across today, remind them. Don't be, now y'all don't be greedy. Y'all know we share the word. Don't be greedy and keep this message to yourself. Some of you are going to cross paths with somebody today, and you just need to encourage them and remind them, sister, brother, tell them, Broderick, don't quit. God's got you. Get your head in the game. Get your head in the game. All right? Y'all, I got to go. I go back to work. Mwah. Sweet kisses, my heart, straight to yours. The Lord willing, next Tuesday, 11:30 live. Let's see what the next book of the Bible has to say.